All right, so on to step 2 of our beautiful Georgia O'Keeffe flowers. So last time we drew our flowers, making sure that the petals went off on all the edges, and traced our pencil lines with black glue. And so now today we are going to be coloring them in with chalk pastels. And you can see someone accidentally smudged mine while it was on the drying rack, but that's okay. We work with what we got, and it's a beautiful oops. So we are going to be using an analogous color scheme. When we use an analogous color scheme, that means we pick 3 to 4 colors next to each other on the color wheel. So if you want to pick, say, purple for your flower, you can pick 3 to 4 colors next to each other. So violet, and red, that would be analogous. Or I could go the opposite way. I could do violet, blue, and blue-green. I think that I want my flower to be these colors right here. So I'm going to use the violet, blue, and blue-green. So I'm going to make sure I pick those out first. We have a combination of chalk pastels and chalk to use today. So I'll pick one that's pretty similar. So that one's around the red-violet. Here's my violet. Here is my, I think this one's blue-violet. Yeah, pretty close. And I'll pick this blue. And then there is a blue-green, or I might even use this light blue. That one would be pretty nice as well. Oh, look, I'm doing 5. I'll do those. Boom. So I'm going to use red, violet, blue, violet, and blue. So I'll start. We're trying to blend from the middle out to the edge of the petal. And each petal needs to be the same. So I think I'm going to start with blue and then move to blue-violet. So I'm just going to start by coloring in vertical lines, because remember I'm trying to go out, staying inside the black glue line here. I'm just filling in some of the areas right up close. Notice I have not done any sort of blending yet. I am just using all this color at the same time first. That way my hands don't get too messy. I'm shaking the table a little bit, sorry. Doing the same thing to all my petals so they can be uniform and have unity. And my last one, I'll just color on top of that part from the drying rack. The one thing about chalk pastels is that they are very messy. Already you can see my hands are getting a little dirty. So it's helpful to have a tissue or a paper towel close by so that it does not smudge everywhere. So I've done the blue, and next would be blue-violet. So I'll just fill in the next one. Notice I'm coloring a little bit on top of my last one. That way they can blend together and move seamlessly. So I'm just doing it all around here. It starts to go off the page a little bit. Done with that, and now I can use my violet. I want to leave the dust that's on my paper because it'll help us when we're blending. So my last ones, these petals over here are coming off the page, so they'll just have a tiny bit of this violet on them. Put that back in there. And now the rest of these petals will be the red-violet. So like I said, I did all the coloring first, and now I can blend. So I'm going to clean my fingers a little bit and work on the blending. So I'm starting from the blue and going down. So I'm just going to use one finger to blend all the blues together, trying to fill in any of those white spaces, going right up next to that black glue line of the edge. Notice I did all the blue first because my finger is now dirty with blue, and I'm going to start to spread down into the purples. If you, while you're coloring and blending, you notice that there's some white areas, go ahead and pick up those chalk pastels and chalk again to fill in some of those areas and blend it better. We want to make sure that there is no white space coming through. Now this petal is complete. And that there's a nice, beautiful, thick area of color. There. And so now I will use my last one, blend all the way down to that pink red violet color. So you can see it's not the exact color, the pink wasn't the exact color as it was before because the dark purple started to get on it a little bit. So if I want it to be a little bit lighter, I can go back with the red violet and fill in a couple of those areas to make it a little bit lighter. All right, so I'm gonna take my extra chalk dust and I'm just gonna tap it off. And so now I have my beautiful flower, and I'll clean my fingers, and I can even try and get a little bit of this off the center of my flower because I think I'm going to make the center of my flower yellow. So I need to make sure that it's nice and clean. Grab that. I'm gonna make this center yellow, yellow. And maybe around it, I'll make a little bit of yellow and some yellow orange. All right, so after you finish your flower, we are going to then pick a background color. We want to pick a background color that is contrasting of our flower petals. So if I have done I've done a cool color flower, so I use my blues and purples and So maybe I want a color maybe like orange or green, maybe a yellow green to help my flower stand out. My flower is very dark, so I'm gonna pick a light color for the background so it contrasts. If you have a light flower, you might wanna pick a dark color background. But since I have all of these blues, I don't think I want to use any of the blues in the background because I feel like it'll blend in too much. We want our flower to be the emphasis, so we want to have contrast for our flower to help it pop. So I'm gonna use this light green to just fill in the rest of my areas, being really careful not to get the green onto the flower petals because I love the way my petals look and I don't want them to now get muddied with this green. So already you can see this yellow green is helping my flower pop and stand out. If you want to add a little bit maybe of a darker color as well, so your background's not all one, if you wanted to blend a couple, two colors together to help create interest, if you have time, you can maybe put a little bit of the dark green, maybe just around the edges to help draw more attention to my flower. And so same thing, I'm just going to blend it all together, maybe using another finger that isn't as dirty, getting right up to that edge. To fill it all in. Whenever we're done, we're not going to be washing our hands today. Instead, we'll use some baby wipes to help clean our fingers off and to prevent a huge long line piling up at the sink. When we're all done, we're just going to tap, tap, tap it off and put it onto the drying rack. It does not need the paint mat. You can put the paint mat back on my chair or in its cubby.
Miss Segura, if you're in the building, could you please come to the front office? Thank you.
You're going to put it onto the cubby. That way it, I can spray it so the chalk sticks and stays onto your paper. I cannot wait to see how beautiful your Georgia O'Keeffe flowers turn out.